One player, one story, one unforgettable journey. These 20 single-player games aren't just great, they're iconic. Each one pulls you in with rich storytelling, immersive worlds, and gameplay that sticks with you long after the credits roll. From brutal action to emotional narrative, this list has it all. Let's dive in. The first game on our list is Hollow Knight, and it absolutely deserves the spotlight. You're dropped into a vast, ruined kingdom with no map, no guide, just haunting silence and a world full of secrets. The hand-drawn visuals are stunning, the soundtrack deeply atmospheric, and each zone feels alive with history and decay. Boss fights are intense, elegant, and often tragic, testing both skill and patience. But the real magic, discovery, every hidden path, every piece of lore, every quiet moment to find it on your own. If you love exploration, challenge, and storytelling through world design, Hollow Knight is the perfect solo journey to begin with. Our second pick is Horizon Zero Dawn, a game that combines stunning open-world exploration with a story full of mystery, legacy, and identity. You play as Aloy, an outcast in a future where nature has reclaimed the earth and robotic beasts roam the wild. As you search for your origins, you uncover the secrets behind a fallen civilization and the world it left behind. The landscapes are vast and varied, lush jungles, snowy cliffs, buried ruins, and each area feels crafted for exploration. Combat is tactical and tense, especially against towering machines that require patience and planning to bring down. What makes Horizon a great solo experience is how personal it feels. Whether you're chasing the main story or wandering off to uncover old-world tech, every path leads to discovery, and every discovery makes the world feel more alive. Coming in at number 3 is Doom Eternal, and yes, it's back, because no other game makes you feel this powerful alone. This is solo combat at full speed, no cover, no pauses, no mercy. Every encounter is a frantic, tactical puzzle where you're constantly switching weapons, dashing, ripping, and tearing through hordes of demons. The world design is wild and unrelenting, metal temples, hellscapes, and sci-fi ruins drenched in lore if you take a moment to look. The soundtrack, pure adrenaline, fueling every kill with rage and rhythm. What makes Doom Eternal stand out as a single-player experience is how you control the chaos. There's no co-op, no chatter, just you and your instincts. When you find that flow, it's not just gameplay, it's domination. If you're the kind of player who wants solo action that's fast, aggressive, and surgical, Doom Eternal is where you unleash it all. At number 4, we've got Yakuza Like a Dragon, a solo RPG that's as ridiculous as it is heartfelt. You play as Ichiban Kasuga, an ex-Yakuza with nothing to lose and way too much optimism. One moment you're brawling in the streets with a crawfish summon, the next you're delivering one of the most emotional speeches in gaming. The turn-based combat is wild, the city of Ijincho is packed with side stories, and the game constantly rewards you for exploring. Want to race go-karts, manage a company, or belt out karaoke ballads? It's all here, but what makes this game shine solo is the emotional connection. It's goofy, yes, but it's also deeply personal. You're not just playing Ichiban's story, you feel it. If you want a game that's unpredictable, hilarious, and full of heart, Like a Dragon is your solo trip worth taking. Coming in at number 5 is Titanfall 2, and yes, it's short, but every second hits harder than most full-length campaigns. You play as a pilot stranded behind enemy lines, paired with BT-7-7-4, a towering mech who ends up becoming one of gaming's most memorable companions. The story is tight, emotional, and surprisingly human. What truly sets it apart is level design. One mission lets you swap between two timelines in real time. It's genius, and it never stops being fun. The movement is slick, the gunplay is fast, and the pacing? Flawless. There's no filler here, just pure, inventive single-player magic. If you want a solo experience that's explosive, emotional, and razor-sharp, Titanfall 2 is a must-play, even if it only lasts a few hours. This one doesn't need much introduction. God of War 2018 redefined what a solo action adventure could be. You're not just smashing monsters, you're guiding Kratos through grief, fatherhood, and a mythological world that feels as dangerous as it is beautiful. Atreus is more than just your son, he's your mirror. And your tension-filled journey together is the heart of everything. The Leviathan axe feels incredible. The puzzles, combat, and exploration are tight and focused. And the single-shot camera, it makes every moment feel personal and cinematic. What makes it perfect for solo play is the weight behind every step. There's no multiplayer noise. Just quiet storytelling, explosive fights, and emotional growth, all between father and son. If you want a game that balances raw power with deep purpose, God of War is where myth meets meaning. At first glance, BioShock Infinite feels like a dream. A floating city in the sky, pastel skies, barbershop quartets, and bright banners waving in the wind. But play solo and you'll feel it unravel. As Booker DeWitt, your mission seems simple. Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt. But Elizabeth isn't just cargo. She's the key to everything, from city secrets to fractured realities. The combat blends firepower with vigor's supernatural abilities that make every fight chaotic and satisfying. And Elizabeth helps you mid-battle, tossing supplies and opening tears in reality. But what makes this unforgettable as a solo experience is how it messes with your perception. You're constantly asking, is this my choice, or just part of the loop? If you want a game that dazzles with style and haunts you with meaning, BioShock Infinite is your next stop. Red Dead Redemption isn't just a western, it's a farewell. A solo journey through the dying days of the frontier, where every dusty trail feels like the end of something. You play as John Marston, a reformed outlaw forced to confront the ghosts of his past. The gunplay is tight and satisfying, but the real weight of the game comes in the spaces between riding alone at dusk, hearing nothing but hooves and the wind, watching the world change around you. As a single-player experience, this game does something rare. It asks you to slow down. There's no pressure to rush. You can fish by the river, help a stranger in distress, or simply ride until the music changes. The world doesn't demand attention, it earns it. And when the story finally reaches its end, you don't just remember the missions, you remember the moments. The silences, the choices you made alone. If you're looking for a game where the world feels lived in, the story feels earned, and the solitude feels meaningful, Red Dead Redemption delivers that rare kind of quiet, powerful experience only a single-player game can. Divinity Original Sin 2 offers total freedom, and when you play solo, that freedom feels even more powerful. You can talk to animals, raise the dead, or teleport enemies into fire just for fun. Every encounter is a sandbox of creative problem-solving, where your weirdest ideas might actually work. What makes the single-player experience shine is full control. No party votes, no distractions, just your decisions, your consequences, your story. Play as a skeleton hiding your identity, a lizard prince on a mission, or someone entirely your own. The world responds to everything. If you want a rich, reactive RPG where chaos and meaning go hand in hand, Divinity Original Sin 2 is a solo adventure like no other. Bloodborne doesn't scare you with jump scares, it unsettles you with atmosphere, mystery, and relentless challenge. As a lone hunter in Yharnam, you're not just fighting monsters, you're unraveling a nightmare stitched together by whispers and blood. Its gothic architecture is stunning, the soundtrack pulses with dread, and the world constantly hints at something deeper, if you're bold enough to look. The lore isn't handed to you, it waits, quietly in item descriptions and eerie locations. Solo play makes it personal. Every death teaches. Every shortcut unlocked is a victory you earned alone. There's no one to help, and that's the point. If you want a game that demands your focus, rewards your patience, and draws you into a world that's horrifying and beautiful, Bloodborne is a solitary descent worth every step. Shadow of the Colossus is as quiet as it is colossal, a game that strips away distractions and leaves you alone with your purpose. You ride through a vast, empty land on horseback, seeking out massive, ancient beings. No dungeons, no enemies in between, just you, your sword, and the silence between battles. Each Colossus is a puzzle, a mountain of muscle and stone, and defeating them feels more like a tragedy than a triumph. There's no victory music, no celebration. Just stillness and questions. Playing solo makes the weight heavier. You begin to wonder, am I saving her or destroying something sacred? If you want a single-player game that's meditative, haunting, and unforgettable, Shadow of the Colossus is a quiet masterpiece that speaks volumes without saying a word. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade doesn't just revisit a classic, it reimagines it for the modern solo player, with cinematic flair and emotional depth. You step back into Midgar as Cloud, but this time the city feels alive. Crowded alleys, neon-lit slums, and towering reactors humming with danger. The combat blends strategy and real-time action, letting you switch characters, time attacks, and unleash limit breaks with precision. But what makes it shine solo is how much more personal it feels now. Every conversation hits harder, every side quest reveals more humanity. And characters like Aerith, Tifa, and Barrett feel less like party members and more like people. Whether you're chasing Sephiroth or just feeding cats in the Sector 7 slums, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a love letter to the past and a bold, emotional journey for anyone playing alone. What remains of Edith Finch is less about gameplay and more about feeling, a deeply personal solo experience told through fragments of lives lost. You explore the Finch family home, room by room, story by story. Each memory is told through a completely different lens, a comic book, a dream sequence, a swing set, all wrapped in surreal, beautiful detail. There's no combat, no choices, no HUD, just you and the quiet weight of generational grief. And somehow it never feels heavy, it feels human. Playing alone makes the experience intimate. You're not just uncovering their stories, you're living them, one tragic, beautiful moment at a time. If you want a game that stays with you long after it ends, Edith Finch is short, powerful, and unforgettable. Tears of the Kingdom doesn't just continue Link's journey, it hands the world to you and says, go anywhere, do anything. You're dropped into a Hyrule that's bigger, stranger, and more vertical than ever, with sky islands above and mysterious depths below. The new abilities don't just solve puzzles, they let you invent solutions. Build flying machines, fuse weapons, and approach every challenge in your own way. As a solo experience, it's pure freedom. There's no rush, no right order. You can follow the main quest, or ignore it completely, chasing shrines, unlocking secrets, or just gliding across the clouds for hours. If you want a game that rewards curiosity, experimentation, and wonder, Tears of the Kingdom is the kind of solo adventure you can truly make your own. Ghost of Tsushima is a game about war, but what stays with you isn't the fighting. It's the silence, the wind, the poetry hidden in every moment. You play as Jin Sakai, a samurai torn between tradition and survival. The world is breathtaking, golden forests, stormy coasts, ancient shrines, and every corner feels like it's telling a story without words. As a solo player, the experience is meditative. You follow the wind, not a waypoint. You write haiku under trees, duel under moonlight, and question what it means to protect something at the cost of who you are. If you want a game that blends elegance with violence and offers solitude that speaks louder than action, Ghost of Tsushima is your path to walk alone. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is a solo adventure that blends tight platforming with pure emotional resonance. You play as Ori, a small spirit in a vast, hand-painted world full of beauty and heartbreak. The movement is buttery smooth. Every dash, jump, and wall climb feels instinctive. Combat adds depth without overwhelming the flow, and boss fights are intense yet graceful. Visually, it's breathtaking, with each area designed like a living painting. But what makes it unforgettable alone is the music and mood. The orchestral score builds perfectly with every moment, turning even the quietest scenes into something powerful. The story unfolds softly with themes of loss, growth, and hope wrapped in silence and motion. If you're looking for a solo experience that moves with elegance and speaks without words, Ori and the Will of the Wisps is a masterpiece of feeling and form. Cyberpunk 2077 is a dense, atmospheric solo experience set in the neon-lit sprawl of Night City, a place where power, loyalty, and identity blur. You play as V, a merc caught between corporations, gangs, and your own fading time. The game offers true player freedom, stealth or guns blazing, hacking or brute force, kindness or cruelty. Every choice reshapes the world and yourself. The city feels alive, from glowing alleys to rooftop hideouts, filled with broken dreams and unforgettable side stories. Some of the most emotional moments happen far from the main quest, in a quiet apartment, a back alley, a quiet goodbye. As a solo experience, Cyberpunk 2077 thrives in immersion. You're alone in the chaos, and your story is yours to own. If you want a single-player journey that's rich, reactive, and deeply human, this is your ride into the future. Metro Exodus is a haunting solo journey across post-apocalyptic Russia, not just about surviving, but finding something worth surviving for. You play as Artyom, leaving the tunnels of Moscow behind to journey across ruined cities, frozen lakes, and sun-scorched deserts aboard a battered train called the Aurora. Each region feels alive, dynamic weather, day-night cycles, and a sense of constant, creeping dread. Resources are scarce, every bullet matters. Every choice, to spare or kill, to trust or doubt, feels heavy. And in the quiet moments between danger, you build bonds with your crew that feel deeply human. Alone, with no co-op or outside help, the weight of the world presses closer. You aren't just playing a survivor, you become one. If you want a single-player game that blends atmosphere, tension, and emotion, Metro Exodus is the journey worth taking alone. Resident Evil 4 Remake is a masterclass in tension, pacing, and solo survival. You step into Leon S. Kennedy's shoes, sent to rescue the president's daughter in a remote European village, and what begins as a mission quickly unravels into madness. Combat is tight and responsive, with every bullet counting and every encounter designed to push your nerves. From eerie silence in abandoned homes to frantic battles in crumbling castles, the game never lets you relax. As a single-player experience, it's deeply immersive. No distractions, no backup, just you, your aim, and whatever's waiting behind the next door. You feel every footstep, every shadow, every whisper in the dark. If you want a solo game that balances horror, action, and constant tension, Resident Evil 4 Remake is a perfectly refined nightmare made to face alone. Stardew Valley is more than a farming game. It's a solo retreat into stillness, where slow days and small moments feel quietly transformative. You inherit a forgotten farm and rebuild it from the soil up, planting crops, raising animals, fishing, mining, and forming bonds with the townsfolk. Time flows gently, the seasons change, there's no pressure, no combat urgency. Just meaningful progress at your own rhythm. As a single-player experience, the solitude becomes part of the story. With no distractions, you begin to notice everything. The way the rain taps the rooftop, the warmth of a festival, or how a small gift can change someone's life. And over time, something shifts. It's no longer just a game about farming. It's about healing, growth, and choosing what kind of life you want to live. If you're looking for a solo game that brings quiet joy and gentle purpose, Stardew Valley is the peaceful journey you didn't know you needed. From the quiet of Stardew Valley to the chaos of Doom Eternal, or the haunting beauty of Hollow Knight, these solo games offer more than gameplay. They create lasting moments. For me, it's the long ride in Red Dead Redemption or that hard-won victory in Bloodborne that still lingers. How about you? Which game spoke to you most, and how did you play it? And if there's a theme you'd like to see next, underrated games, emotional stories, or brutally hard solo runs? Let me know below. I'd love to hear what you're playing and why.
Yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning.